சார் நான் வேற மூலியமா கனெக்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். லைவ் ஸ்ட்ரீம் லிங்க் மட்டும் வேணா மாறலாம்னு நினைக்கிறேன். நான் ஜென்ரேட் பண்ணிட்டு அனுப்பட்டுமா சார்? சார் சார்
சொல்லுங்க மேடம்.
லைவ் ஸ்ட்ரீம் லிங்க் மட்டும் மாறும், ஆனா நம்ம காலேஜ் சேனல்ல தான் வரும். ஓகேவா?
ஓகே மேடம். ஓகே,
அந்த லிங்க் நான்
லைவ்
திருப்பி
ஸ்ட்ரீம்
அனுப்புறேன்.
லிங்க் மட்டும் தான மாறுது? ஓகே ஓகே.
ஆமா, லைவ் ஸ்ட்ரீம் யூடியூப் லிங்க் மாறும். கனெக்ட் ஆகுது. ஒரு 2
ஓகே
மினிட்ஸ்.
ஓகே. அத நீங்க அத காலேஜ் இதுல குரூப்ல போட்டு விட்டுருங்க.
காலேஜ்ல தான் இருக்குது. உள்ளதான் இருக்கு. ஒரு 2 மினிட்ஸ்.
இல்ல குரூப் நம்ம குரூப்ல போட்டு விட்டுட்டு பண்ணிருங்க.
ஓகே ஓகே, அத நான் பண்றேன் சார்.
ஒரு 2 மினிட்ஸ் ஆகுமா சார்?
2 மினிட்ஸ். ஏன் சார், என்னாச்சு?
சார் ஸ்டார்ட் ஆயிடுச்சு சார்.
ஓகே
சார், ஸ்டார்ட் ஆயிடுச்சு லைவ்.
ஓகே ஓகே. குட் மார்னிங். ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்க.
2 மினிட்ஸ் நம்ம குரூப்ல மட்டும் ஷேர் பண்ணிடுறேன் சார். Can we start, sir?
Yes, madam. Good morning.
Okay. On behalf of the Department of Computer Science Engineering with Cybersecurity at RMK College of Engineering and Technology, it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the 16th session of the Generic Talk series. Today we are honored to have Mr. Sairam Murali, Senior Manager, Information Security at Alteryx, with us to speak on the very relevant topic, cybersecurity for life. I would now like to invite our head of the department, Dr. S.M. Udayshankar sir, to give the welcome address.
Thank you, madam. Esteemed guest, respected chairman, dynamic vice chairman, respected advisors, respected principals, deans, heads of departments, faculty members, parents, and students of the RMK family. A good morning to one and all. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to today's session in our Generic Talk series, a platform designed to enlighten, inspire, and foster meaningful discussion on emerging trends and advancements. On behalf of RMK College of Engineering and Technology, it is my privilege to extend a warm welcome to our distinguished guest and speaker for today, Mr. Sairam Murali, Senior Manager, Information Security at Alteryx, Bangalore, and accompanies alumnus of our RMK EC, Mr. Sairam brings over 14 years of invaluable professional experience in the field of information security. We are honored to have him with us to share his insights on the topic cybersecurity in everyday life. I also take this opportunity to welcome our respected principal, respected dean, respected dean academics, and dean research for this session. And with their guidance and support, we are able to excel in all the academic and professional pursuit. I would also extend a warm welcome to all the heads of departments, faculty members, parents, and students of the RMK family who joined us for this event. Your presence and enthusiasm reflect the spirit of collaboration and commitment to learning that defines our institution. As we embark on the today's session, let us actively engage, exchange ideas, and make the most of this wonderful opportunity to learn from the seasoned expert. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to our guest speaker, Mr. Sairam Murali. So let us look forward to an enriching and insightful session. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to invite Mr. Vinod Kumar, Assistant Professor from the Department of CSE Cyber Security, to introduce the chief guest.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning to everyone. It's my great privilege to introduce our chief guest, Mr. Sairam Murali, Senior Manager, Alteryx, Bangalore. He is an innovative and passionate technologist with deep customer empathy, and he has 12 plus years of experience in the industry. He has bootstrapped team from the ground up in house and managed teams in India. He has the acumen to blend business with security in the right proportion and helped leadership teams in designing the overall security strategy for the organization. Mr. Sairam Murali has broad area expertise, including threat detection and response, threat intelligence, threat modeling, security analytics, basic apps, cloud security, machine learning, building statistical models, deep learning, and natural language processing. Mr. Sairam Murali has completed his master's in artificial intelligence from Liverpool John Moores University, specializing in artificial intelligence, and graduated from RMK Engineering College, specializing in information technology in 2010 batch. Also graduated from Harvard Business School and Darden School of Business, acquiring management skills in disruptive strategy and design thinking. Also, our expert takes up community mentorship roles in information technology, machine learning, and design thinking. So it's a very much opportunity. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Vinod. It's been really an honor to be here with you all. I think it's been almost 14 years that I'm being part of this alumni association with RMK, and my journey in during my college days was phenomenal. I had a very good journey when I was in my college days, and now reflecting back to all that and being invited here as a to give a tech talk to the community of RMK as well as people who are going to see this session. I'm overall thrilled and enthralled about being here and making sure that I wanted to give my best to the community that I'm trying to grow up. uh, so let me get started, and well, I can. Is everyone able to see my screen for confirmation? Is the screen loading? Uh, okay. Just to give some more clarity on where I stand, I'm currently in this information security field for the past 14 years. Right as an opportunity, I was able to be part of the security world right when I completed my college. Uh, at least until my college days, I had a very minimalistic exposure to security, but I was more of a dev guy and a research and most focused on the research and the research side of the world. But when I get into the security field, I figured out that why the experience that I had during my college days was so much helpful when I stepped into this field. Uh, and traveling this far, one thing which I've observed is we have our landscape, or I would say our digital landscape within India as well as across the globe has gone through an immense change, and we are seeing a lot of attacks now that are being targeted to very basic level, and it is reaching out to every other people within India, and I could see it growing as well. Even some days my father used to come and ping me and say, hey, I got a message saying that they're asking me to click the link and enter the details. Someone called him and asking him, can you furnish these details? You want to update your KYCs. So traveling back 10 years back, I wouldn't have seen this much of calls that is coming to an individual person and asking for all these details. But the evolution that has happened throughout the digital landscape is one of the main causes that we are seeing these kind of trends that is coming in. So I'm going to cover a topic wherein I'm going to talk about how cybersecurity is in everybody's everyday's life. So right from your basic usage of your cell phone, your basic usage of your cell phone, and the websites that you communicate with on a daily basis. Like let's say if you're watching a TV, because nowadays I think most of us are connected to a smarter world, right? We have a smart TV, we have a smart gadget at home. We use many other LLM devices within our home where we communicate with those on a very frequent basis. So we send in a lot of data, and the cell phones that we use on a daily basis also are one of the main causes, wherein we kind of send a lot of data over it. Now, how sure are we that the data that is being sent over by these mediums are very secure enough and they reach to the destination and being properly used by everyone? Now, getting into that point, the main entity of cybersecurity is to make sure that when we take up any customer data or we take up any kind of data that is very much a PII or any other information, we need to make sure that they are very much safeguarded from any kind of attack that comes in. And when it comes to this current day scenario, we are all digitally connected. That is what I would say. Wherein if I step out and if I want to connect to some of my friends who I have left in college, social media is one of the channels that I can connect to. But if you go to social media, we kind of share a lot of information there in the social media. Like just from you are visiting a place, you just do a check-in in Facebook Meta saying that I'm at this place and I'm going to explore all this. So you can draw a footprint around you, asking on like with that specific place, what are the areas that I could visit, right? You can track all those information. So in a way, social media is also one of the key areas that we are using in our day-to-day life. Now, if you estimate all this from various data sources that we are getting in, we are very much sure that 80% of the cyber attacks these days are targeting individuals, right from the information that we invariably provide, which we think that we are giving it or sharing it with some of our close friends or close relatives that that get to know that, hey, I've reached into this place. Like let's say if I am going to a XYZ country, and one of my friend who was in the past and studied with me in college is also there. Just so we are probably connected over Facebook, I just do a check-in saying that I'm at this place in the XYZ country. And the person gets to know that, and then the person pings me saying that, hey, I'm also in that same place. Why don't we get connected and we meet over for a coffee or anything? So that's how it is. From a socio perspective, I think that's pretty good. I'm still able to connect with some of my friends, but at the same time, the flip side of it is someone could eavesdrop on that information and kind of target some information or try to get the information that I have shared over there for their personal benefit and can target those individuals as well. If you look at the other statistics, right, phishing attacks have increased 48% in 2002. That was a source from APWG. So the information that we are sharing through all this medium are also some of the areas that attackers, right from, we kind of segregate with their levels, right from a script kiddie who does those at a very superficial layer with the tools that is available, to someone who crafts an attack specifically for some people. So we are looking at a surge of 48% in 2002, but now I would say it would be roughly around 50+%, which has scaled up now. Now, what is more relevant here is that on an everyday basis, right from a child to a very most senior person are connected in this digital life, and we are making sure that their information are also being need to be protected, right? Because from a children who doesn't know what it is to an elderly person who also doesn't know what it is, because they are very young, and sometimes children are now far more betterly equipped with how to handle those. But at the senior level, I got an example, right? My father used to still ask me like, hey, I got this email, what should I do with it? Should I reply, should I not reply? Consider that he gets around 10 to 15 emails per day. He has to reach out to me and ask that, hey, like, what should I do with this, what should I do with that? So now it comes down to a point wherein he is not sure of what needs to be done when such things comes in, right? When it is being crafted to different ways of how he is being connected to his ecosystem of applications. So when it is getting kind of crafted so well that he is not able to identify from a legit source to a source which is trying to target and get some kind of information from him or some kind of money from him. So those are things that kind of intrigues me to know that what is that something which we need to educate the current individuals here, right? Wherein so that they are more secure enough to know what they need to share and what they do not need to share. I'm going to cover a very small basics on what cybersecurity principles are. The key objectives are three things. One is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality is how do you protect your sensitive information. Let's say you're going to a store and you wanted to share your phone number, which is good. But at the same time, if someone is asking you to share your phone so that they can give you a gift coupon or they can give you a kind of a goodie, so those are areas that you need to be really cautious, because you might have tied up your cell phone with your bank accounts. You could have tied up your cell phone with your PII information like your Aadhaar card. So you need to be very, very cautious about sharing all your personal information. This includes your email ID. Let's say someone is asking for your Aadhaar information. So the government has put in stringent rules on all those. You can still share the last 4 digits of your Aadhaar card. You don't really require to share all the entire pin that is there in your Aadhaar. Now, next comes down to is your integrity. Now, whenever an application or a customer data is managed by someone, they need to make sure that the data is accurate and it is reliable, so that for their own purpose they kind of use it, but at the same time they should be very careful on what the data is about, right? They should not be able to forge any of those data. That's the other thing that you need to be very careful on. Availability. The key thing is that the data should be available to them. Like, for example, let's say I'm trying to use one of the customer's website, not customer per se, but the application owner's website for booking some tickets or anything. And let's say if the person's infrastructure is not maintained properly and it is going to took any bad cybersecurity digital attack or something, then in that case they are also going to lose a customer who was there for them to make sure that they wanted to book a ticket, right? So that way, it's not just someone at the individual, but from a business perspective, how secure they need to be present in this on a daily basis, because the individual's information is shared. The individual who communicates with some of the applications are also one of the business entities that is working on in this kind of an ecosystem, right? And that needs to be security needs to be maintained at both ends so that the business can thrive as well. What are the common threats that we are seeing these days? One is phishing. Then we are seeing a lot of malware attacks wherein you're visiting a website. Suddenly there is a pop-up which says that, why don't you install this? And you just go and hit that OK button, and then there is a malware that gets dropped into your machine. Fortunately, if it was just a spyware, then it's going to just put you some pop-ups. But like, let's say if it is a targeted one that the individual is very VIP person, it could result in a situation where the person's laptop could be encrypted by the attacker, which was the target that the pop-up was sent, as well as the file that they wanted to download gets into their Windows or Mac machine, whatever the flavor of operating system they are using. It could encrypt the entire machine unless and until they pay some ransom to that attacker, and get the key and then decrypt all the files, which is not going to be a easy affair, and it's going to take a lot of money to be spent on that, which we definitely never recommend any of those. That's why we make sure that whenever you have a copy of your very important files, try to take a backup of it very often so that you can avoid these kind of situations. And yes, data breaches at the customer, at the application level, right, wherein merchants or any application owner should be very careful, and that applications which are revolving around the fintech industry are to be very cautious about how the data is being handled by them, because there is a lot of regulatory constraints comes in when such breaches happen, which is not easy to solve, and it's really very hectic for them as a nightmare. So now, seeing at all this, right, let's look at how cybersecurity is crucial now and going forward, right? The global cybercrime costs expected to hit 10.5 trillion annually by 2025. This is from a cybersecurity venture report that has gone through. And 43% of the cyber attacks target small businesses. Now, everyone knows that if a country has to grow, small business are also supporting factors wherein they help the government as well to grow on those forefronts. So this is also a report that the Verizon Data Breach Investigation Report of 2023 says. What are the impact when a cybersecurity incident happens? Let's say for an organization which is managing customer data on a day-to-day basis, interacts with customers' ecosystem, there is a huge financial loss for them, because the intent of either could be stealing the customer data, or are they trying to fish someone within their organization who handles a lot of money to send in some of the amount that they are requesting through social engineering techniques. So even if the situation is the former, then there is a huge kind of a brand impact for them, wherein future customers which they are targeting, right, or individuals that they are targeting will not take a stance on this application, because they now feel that, hey, they had an application, they were not able to secure some of the customers that they had. Like, what is the surety that if I go on onboard to that application, how secure they are? So they are losing future customers, right? That would correlate back into the financial loss that is going to get impacted. Next is the identity theft, right? Me as a Sairam would have an ID that says that yes, there is a Sairam, right? Now those can be forged, right? Wherein they can prepare similar identity proofs with me, and then they can use it somewhere where I have an ecosystem of applications that I use for my own day-to-day basis, like just to make a transaction for for my personal reasons, to pay a fees, to travel to a destination. All those are where they can foolproof on all that. So it results in a huge identity theft. Now, I've already covered that in the financial loss of privacy and reputation. So you are not, the concerned company is going to lose a lot of customers, because the customers feel that their information is all over the internet, and they feel a sense of privacy has been missed. And in that way, when they do that, there is a equal reputation loss that comes for the company, and they are not people who are going to use the applications, or the ones who are going to suggest that to some other people, are also going to get impacted on that front. Now let's look at how we can segregate the cybersecurity across different age groups. How cybersecurity would more impact in different age groups, and how we can better be cautious about when we are interacting with our ecosystem of applications on a daily basis. Now let's take at children between the age 5 to 12. There is the more now they have exposed to internet, wherein they kind of learn things, and they get to do projects in the internet, get online classes. So there is a equal opportunity for them to get into inappropriate contents, and there are areas where there are online predators and then phishing scams disguised as games, because children in this age group, they are more prone to play games, right? So like, let's say there is a car race wherein you have to make sure that you win first, and that they say that they'll give you some price margin on that. So eventually it's not about the price, but it's about the enthusiasm of a child to make sure that they play and they can win and they can get that medal onto their board, is what something that would intrigue them to interact with that. Now unfortunately they would not know what is the back end intent of it, right? Like in our cybersecurity technical terms that we say tools, techniques, and procedures. An attacker would use a specific tool and disguise a technique for that tool, so that they can they can lure the individuals, in this case children, and what are the procedures that they would follow to make sure that the attack is successful, right? You have to figure it out, like what are their tools, techniques, and procedures. Now there are I won't say few, there are many cases that has happened wherein the children are being kind of fished into getting information, right? Now a relevant example was a 10-year-old accidentally downloading malware while playing a free online game. They would not know that there are very good places in internet where there are some online games that they can play, but they don't. Most of the children's, they can just Google, right? And whatever comes on the top of the Google list is something which they are going to play. Unfortunately, that time something else, passes over the one which they really go on. Like, let's say they are going to dxyz.com, but let's say the dxyz.com, the X is changed into a Roman numeric or some kind of numeric X with a small curve on that. So they are not going to look at that, right? They would think that it's the same DXYZ website that I was going earlier. Let me go into that. And when they are entering, they are going to, the moment they enter, they can just drop up, malware into their machine where they are playing, and they can start whatever the intent, right? They can track the keystrokes. Let's say the laptop is a personal laptop of the children's father, and like the children's father is about to pay a bill payment, is using a credit card to do that. All the keystrokes can be taken up, right? Not everyone would be cautious enough to use a virtual keyboard every time, right? Even that can be tricked out, right? There is a specific malware where it can take screenshots of it in a bit-sized images and store and then send it back. There is also cyberbullying that is happening on platforms like Roblox and Minecraft, where I don't want to get into more of those Roblox and Minecraft. They are games which is used to make sure that you get credits whenever, or I would say it's like a platform where you take credits for whatever the levels that you accomplish in that. Now, as parents, how cautious you can be. You can follow certain best practices to make sure when your kid is online with these kind of game environments. Use parental controls and monitoring tools that you can put in. Like, for example, you can have your basic antivirus and make sure that you put in a filter on that saying that the children are allowed to use this website, but anything else apart from that, block it. And educate children on, like, if such things comes in, do not enter your details unless and until you bring in your parents and let them know that this is what happened, and walk them through the procedure. So teach them that they have to do that, so that they'll next time when they are really smart enough, they the more you teach them, they get to know what is happening, and they'll definitely call you and help you on that front. And now we are so much into digital experience, right? It's about having an open communication with your children on how you should have a proper online experience, right? Like you're sitting for a class, how do you make sure that you are more interactive in that? And let's say if you are asked to use an application from that class, make sure that you access only that application. Do not try to meddle with anything else, because we don't know what is happening, right? That company could have been a target for some adversary and could try to track these informations and take advantage of this scenario. A popular case study in 2023 wherein a hacker was exploited a vulnerability in a popular children's game app and was able to take 1 million users' data out of it. The article was from TechCrunch. So this could happen, case study could travel back to what I was saying in the previous scenarios, right? How you can better help your children to make sure they are very secure when they are interacting with applications in their day-to-day life in a digitally connected world. Now, let's take a step ahead, right? How teenagers can make sure that they are more secure in using I won't say cybersecurity in such, but in the ecosystem that they are working on. How can they make sure that they are more secure when they are interacting with their applications that they are using? So right on top of my mind, social media is one thing which comes on top of the list. And we also see a lot of scam that happens through social media, right? People create fake profiles in LinkedIn or Instagram, and people try to use the same name as you and create a different picture altogether. So let's consider that, which comes to identity theft, right? So let's say that some XYZ user who comes and sees a profile of Sairam Murali twice, but at a different picture altogether, how would the person even know that which is Sairam Murali? Or let's say someone close to me who knows that who is Sairam Murali, but there is a two separate profile picture of, let's say, Sairam Murali bracket Sai, and then there is just Sairam Murali there. How would even the let's say a close acquaintance of mine would know that which profile is Sairam Murali? There is a 50% probability that the person could end up in a wrong profile, which was a target set to attract the intent of the attacker, right? I gave the example already, which is creating a fake Instagram profile and giveaway scams, right? So that you are, I'm not saying every time giveaway is a scam. There are very proper sources and legitimate things are happening, which is very good. You encourage and you make sure that people utilize it in the right opportunity. But now comes down to a different set of the probability where there are attackers who are trying to use this as in a different way, which is now kind of putting the question to ones which are doing it in a very, very proper way. So in a way, someone who's going to come as a new person to YouTube or Instagram would not know which is legit and which is not legit, right? Now the person who's trying to do a service out of that is also getting impacted because of this. And make sure that whenever you share photos in Instagram or anything, make sure that it's not a sensitive photo, or make sure that the photos are something which they cannot use it for any other illegal purposes or anything else. What are the best practices you can make sure that when you are in the digitally connected world and using applications in your ecosystem, right? One, make sure that whatever the I think most of the applications now support two-factor authentications. Either you set it up and make sure that you get a code back to your cell phone or your email address, so that you can do a double authentication before you can sign into that social media page. And let's say you are getting an email or a text message with a link saying that you need to click this link, and so that you can go in. Make sure that do not encourage such things, because you don't know, it could be a suspicious link and it could impact by compromising your laptops or anything else. And be very careful about sharing your personal information on social media. So nowadays we see a lot of people say that a lot of information on in your Instagram page that born on this so and so date and all this, right? You don't really have to do that. They get that information just to make sure that they are using it for a different, for a legit purpose. But this open post will not going to is going to give information to an adversary who has a malicious intent for this. A case study on 2023 wherein a TikTok challenge led to a malware infection on thousands of devices, chosen the BBC News. So like this, there are n number of cases that is happening across the globe wherein small mistakes leading to a bigger impact. Now let's look at adults between 20 to the age of 60, right? There is a lot of scams that is happening. I'm going to cover a specific level of scams that is happening across nowadays in the later slides, but I'm just going to give you some example on that. There are online banking fraud, phishing emails, the ransomware attacks that I was telling earlier as well. Like just take some examples, right? In LinkedIn, people reach out saying that they are going to give you a job. It's a fake job scam. And let's say a very small business owner who has a machine and then has the application installed in his or her machine, and the person is using it for tracking some of the invoices on a daily basis. Let's say an ransomware attacks, and the adversary is going to say that unless and until you pay $2,000, $3,000, I'm not going to release this. I'll give you the decryption key. The person or the small business owner is kind of in a devastated state where he or she would not be making that much profit, right? And so in that case, then it's going to throw a different ball game for that person. What could be the best practices you can do? Make sure that whenever you use such applications, work with that respective person who has built it and see if they have updates sending it to you on a frequent basis. And whenever you use passwords, make sure that the password is unique for all the places, right? Don't ever use the same password that you use for your bank accounts to be used against logging into a machine as well. And never use public Wi-Fi when you are at your specific malls or anything, and like suddenly you see an hotspot which gives you a free thing. Make sure that you don't use such passwords to log into public VPN and public Wi-Fi and then start using your open VPN. And I've already covered this. Make sure to back up your data regularly. There is a popular case study for a ransomware attack on a healthcare provider exposed to sensitive patient data. Healthcare has a lot of compliance, and let's say if a patient's data is getting leaked out, it is going to impact a person very badly. Okay. To the senior most people in our society, right? They could be using their laptops or cell phones to pay some bill, right? Suddenly, it gives a pop-up saying that your computer is infected. Kindly call this so-and-so person, and so that we will get that fixed for you. So this is nothing but a spyware that kind of does or adware that does this kind of information for you, so that to trick you into calling that person, and they try to convince you saying that your machine is completely infected with virus. Unless and until you buy this software and then you install and you clean it up, it won't be possible. Or they kind of try to take information from you and then use it for a different purpose. So it's more of the tech support scams and fake lottery wins, and again this also leads to identity theft, right? Because they are still collecting information from you. Tech support for scams are like they are making sure to use this as bait for you to lure in, and then call them, and then they come in and they support you and they charge you for nothing that is present in your machine. And fake lottery wins, right? It's a legit scam that has been happening across for a very long time. They are not going to either the person is not going to win anything, or it is just that they are going to pay something, and the person who is asked that money is going to leave away. Examples: spyware loaded to your laptop, so that's tricking you to call for antivirus support, which I've already told. Falling for fake bank app, Amazon delivery notification scam. All these are happening, right? Nowadays, I think frequently we get and malicious file through WhatsApp and ask and the respective person who has sent it to this innocent person that hey, why don't you install this and update all these details, so we'll take care of your updates and everything that you wanted for, right? And let's say the innocent person doesn't know what needs to be done and just goes and installs that, right? Done. And I have seen cases where an APK file is sent to an iPhone user and asked the person who is sending is also not aware that the person is using an iPhone right, iOS user, right? And still asks to install, and this person is not aware why the application is not getting installed. So there are both ways that is happening, and it's just that you need to be very cautious about what is happening and what they are trying to achieve, and a little bit of presence of mind will definitely help to cater to all these situations. What are the best practices? Always verify the identity of the callers and the email senders, and avoid sharing sensitive information over the phone or email. And definitely use antivirus and keep your device updated. So you really don't have to call these numbers, right? Whatever the legit applications or antivirus software that you're using, they are automatically sending you the updates. You just need to make sure that the antivirus is updated. If you don't know how to do that, always schedule from a proper laptop service owner. Ask them to come home and make sure that they can adhere to the best practices and help you solve that. Senior most person lost almost $50,000 to a cryptocurrency investment scam, AARP source. It's very legit, right? So now we'll for the next some time we'll walk through some of the real world case studies that has happened and what was the impact that the specific business owners took because of cybersecurity. What does it have the impact on a real world cybersecurity incident, right? How does the individuals get affected because of that? Let's say an application, XYZ application, has a vulnerability present, right? And if it is not getting fixed and no proactive measures have been taken, this would involve the attackers to gain advantage of that, and in that way what happens is potentially it could go to a data breach or a data incident or anything or security incident, right? Now it's also from the business perspective that they need to be very cautious and be taking proactive measures to make sure that better defenses are in place, so that when these kind of adversaries come in to take information, they are rendered out with anything. We'll see about some of the case studies in India and as well as globally, and what are the consequences of a breach and what are the key lessons learned from each case. So one of the cases is the All India Institute of Medical Science. I have tagged up the source of that article down below. So their servers were hit by a ransomware attack for 2 weeks. And imagine an All India Institute of Medical Science on a daily basis would serve around at least in hundreds to thousands of patients per day, and they had to maintain a lot of records. And let's say their servers which they used to maintain all this record is impacted by ransomware. Unless and until you're going to pay the ransom to the adversary, it is something where you are rendered with nothing, right? You cannot use anything of that. Now, because of this ransomware attack, almost 40 million patient records were encrypted, and it is rendered useless unless and until the data is decrypted. Now, what are the consequences that you would get rendered out of this, right? See, the source of this could be many things, right? A simple social engineering phishing email could make sure that this ransomware can hit and propagate. So it hits at one location and then tries to travel across the entire fleet of applications or the entire fleet of network of devices, the workstation servers that you have, and make sure that everything is getting impacted because of that. Now imagine 40 million patient records are not there. Like, let's say a patient comes in for review, right? Unless and until you don't have a past record where you can go through about it, unless until you have a written notes out of that, the doctor is yet to go through that patient again, and from scratch the person has to go through everything again with the doctor to figure out, right? It's going to render it's not very easy on a daily basis, because All India Institute of Medical Science is going to serve a lot of customers, lot of patients on a daily basis, and imagine that has to be done across those hundreds of people on a daily basis. It's not going to be feasible at all. Consequences: delayed medical services and patient care, because let's say in an hour before this incident they could have attended 50 patients, but after this they could have probably attended 5. The number don't even add up, right? And sensitive patient data were compromised. So let's say a patient is diagnosed with certain disease, right? And let's say the information goes out, it could impact that person in very different ways possible. So that's why we need to be very cautious when sensitive patient data is getting leaked out, right? There can be targeted has to be sent to that person, they take this medicines and all, right? And the person out of curiosity thinks that, hey, if I take this medicine it will get cured, and unfortunately it could not be the scenario as well. So the adversary is trying different ways and making sure the data is sold in a dark web market. What are the lessons learned in this scenario, right? Whenever a ransomware attack happens, the first thing that we need to make sure is that you have to check at least is that you have a proper data backup that is available, at least in the places where there are sensitive applications stored and your main application resides, so that it will be easy for you to flip back to the previous day alone, and then at least a day's data would be missed, right? And you can definitely make sure that you can get that back immediately, rather than losing the entire history. And I'm saying a very farthest case possible, but then backups are now very, very efficient nowadays. So a regular backup, even for a hourly basis, would be really key in these kind of scenarios. And definitely, when the data is getting pulled out from, or get taken from a customer or a patient, right? Make sure that the data is being stored and encrypted and at transit at rest, so that even when the data is pulled out, it's rendered useless by the adversary. Let's take a typical case study of a SpiceJet ransomware and DDoS attack. So this is one of the second incident that happened at SpiceJet. Earlier happened in 2020. The SpiceJet servers were breached through a ransomware attack, and it rendered wherein the opening page of SpiceJet can only be accessed, and the rest of the page under that will not be accessible, because they are all encrypted, and they need a ransom to make sure that that can be decrypted. Now, the source of entry was that the attacker was able to take a weak point in an IT system, and then was able to get into the network and make sure that they can do this. Now, what happens? No data of whoever is going to fly on that specific day. So there is a huge level of impact on the flight operations, and the downtime is going to increase. Customers are going to face and havoc on their travel plans. There could be emergency travels, there could be important travels that some individuals has to make. Right? They are all disrupted now. The key is that critical infrastructures require stringent cybersecurity measures, and make sure that you have a robust separate cybersecurity program put into place, because once if it is not there and you get an impact like this, then the only way solution is that you have to go through a very rigorous tough process, and there is a huge financial loss that is going to get incurred in this. Another typical case study is the JustPay data breach. JustPay is a payment gateway that suffered a data breach, wherein 100 million users' data, including card details, were exposed, and they are being sold in the dark web. And this was done through an attacker where they were able to find out an unsecured server, and they were able to get into that, and they were able to travel as a lateral movement to other specific application, other systems in that, and they were able to breach the data out of from JustPay. and that includes your credit card data, right, wherein they can still use that in anywhere else to purchase anything. Now, these kind of case studies render a loss in the customer trust and financial fraud. Once there's a financial fraud, then there is a regulatory constraint from each country's regulatory body, and fines are getting incurred because the business did not properly adhere to the functionalities because it's a customer fintech world. Lessons learned: make sure that whatever the APIs that you use are secured. There is an auth and auth that is put in place, and definitely when you are going to get such data, encryption is one of the key aspects. And the other thing is that you have to audit every part of your controls as well as your network on a frequent basis. Another, Domino's, where one of the hotspots where people eat their pizzas, right, suffered a huge loss in 2021, where 180 million orders, including names, address, and payment details, was leaked. And it was again put in dark web for sale. And this was purely due to a weak database security that Domino's had, which again comes down to is legal repercussions and customer losing data, trust on this brand, right, wherein they are not going to come back and give any of their details while they are purchasing a pizza. And there is also a highly possibility that with the data that got leaked, they can definitely send phishing attacks to the Domino's customers. Again, the probable solutions that we have to take from this is that make sure your databases are encrypted and you have minimalistic access to specific people who are accessing the network as well as the specific applications. And make sure that you monitor your database for unusual activities. So someone apart from the ones who have to log in, then try to make sure that there are proper detections in place so that you can get an alert when it happens, so that you can mitigate those at the hem of the event. Haldiram's, one of the fastest or I would say most yummiest place where you can get your savories, also suffered a ransomware attack, and it hit their network very badly, and sensitive business and financial data was encrypted, and unless and until you pay them a ransom, the attackers are not going to release the data decryption key for you to go back to the live state and start utilizing it. This has incurred a huge loss in terms of their business operations, and once their business is impacted, definitely there is a financial loss that Haldiram's would be taking in this case. Now, in this case, I've already spoken up in the previous slides. The main thing is that you need to have a proper backup in this case, and so that you can mitigate these ransomware attacks and make sure that employees are very much aware of what is happening. At least the key stakeholders involved in critical application interactions, make sure that they are well aware of what they need to do when this kind of scenario, when someone is trying to do a social engineering on them to get some information out of it. Big basket data breach, another day-to-day application that we or the individuals use to make sure that they buy any groceries or anything. 20 million customers' data has been leaked, which included email, phone number, and address. This was mainly through an endpoint where there was no antivirus or present. They were able to get an unauthorized access. They were able to access that endpoint, and they were able to take lateral movement from there to their critical application and then breach the data. And again, the data was sold in the dark web. This puts into regulatory investigations and reputational loss, because once the reputational loss is incurred, it's very difficult to bring back the customer back to what trust they had before this incident could happen. The main thing we have to take from this is to make sure that the attacker entry point could be anything. It's not just a unsecured API or through social engineering, but it could also be through some system where there is no antivirus patched for a pretty long time, right? That could also be a scenario. And whenever such unauthorized access attempts are happening, make sure that you have least privilege controls put in place, as well as you also make sure that there is a proper detection that is put in place for all this to monitor, which happens through regular security program. Just to give a skim through on some of the other breaches that needs to be noted. COVID data leak happened in 2021. MobiKwik, one of the fastest wallet or payment details which used, suffered a data breach where around 110 million users, customers were leaked out, including their KYC details. Air India, 4.5 million passenger data have been stolen, including their personal details and passport information, and credit card data were exposed. Zomato, 17 million users, names, email, and numeric emails, user IDs, and passwords have been leaked out with hashes. And considerably, the password hash that they could get out is only 6.6 million out of the 17 million. So, looking at all this breach information, right, you could find out that this is an ecosystem of what individuals use on a daily basis. And let's say if they are not secure, it could incur in reputational loss, brand loss, then the respective customers are being targeted by for phishing attacks. So there are various impacts for both the business as well as the individuals who are loyal customers for these brands. So I'm going to cover a little bit on what are the popular scams that is happening, so that we get to know on a uber level on what is really happening in the current trend. So there is something called as a phishing scam, where fraudulent email or email which is something which the person is not expecting would be sent to that person, impersonating as one of their frequent interactions with any of their applications, bank, anything for that pay, right? And making sure that when it is impersonated, the person would not know that it is not coming from the application that they are using or from the bank, right? And they would end up giving some of their personal details, or which could be anything, credit card, anything they can be giving it out. So how do you avoid phishing scams? Make sure that you don't click on those links. Whenever you suspect it is a phishing, make sure that you verify the email address and to find out that whether it is legit or not. Always use spam filters and report any kind of suspicious emails. If you're using a Gmail or Outlook or anything, just try to make sure that you can report that email to spam, and then do Google or Microsoft in that case. Fake loan apps. So in your iOS as well as in your Play Store, make sure that don't install fake loan apps and give all the details that you can give, and potentially you will be a victim for their scam that they are running. Make sure that you run your application, you install from either Google Play Store or anything. And let's say if it is coming through some other source of mean to install it, kindly do not do so, which is currently prevalent, and it is happening, wherein some of the bank apps are being sent through some social media network, and they're asking to install that to you. So ultimately it is going to be a big havoc for the individual, right? Because they're going to give trusting that they're going to give all the information, and it's going to render useless. And again, avoid sharing personal information and financial data when you suspect that the source is not legit. Another thing is job scams, right? Fake job offers demanding upfront registration fees and sensitive information that you provide. They are going to use that, and they are not going to use that wherein you have already paid the fees. That's not going to get refunded, and on top of that, you're not going to get a job, and that the sensitive information that you have provided, they can probably go and sell it up in some other place for a pretty hefty sum, right? And that can be utilized by some other for targeting that specific individual. Always, in this case, use a verified job portal, and avoid payment money for any job placements. And whenever you're going to register for that, always research about that portal or application before you could enter any of those details. Another popular thing that is happening is the UPI or QR code scams. fraudsters, what they do is that specific person or the individual, they try to send in a QR code where they kind of think that the QR code is where the money is going to get credited, but instead it's going to debit the money from your bank account and going to put it back into their bank account. Always when you get popular technique that they use called as squishing, QUYSHING, always double check your UPI payment requests and transactions. Just don't accept whenever someone sends you an UPI accept request from some unverified sources, and make sure that unless until you are more trusted, if you don't trust that, don't try to authorize any of those apps or any kind of amount to be sent via those mediums. KYC update scams. You would be very recently, there is a lot of emails being sent out to customers saying that they are owning into some other banks, and that the bank is sending that saying that update the KYC details. And if you look at the email URL link itself, it will be some random junk characters that is put in there. You can very well clearly, just by saying that you mention the bank account name in that and then add some other text to that, it doesn't mean that it's from the specific bank, right? So make sure always look at all these links when they send you to update all the bank accounts. And do not share any of the OTPs. If someone calls you up and asks that, hey, like we need to verify this, kindly share your OTP. Do not do that. And when you want to update your KYC, reach out to that specific bank where you have your account and ask them what is the procedure and follow that procedure carefully. The other thing that is happening is social media impersonation scams, which I've already covered in the past. But make sure if you have any fake profiles that has been created on your behalf, let your network know that this is a fake profile that has been created on your behalf, and do not attend to any of the requests that comes in because of that. Make sure, how do you safeguard yourself from that? Make sure your privacy settings in the social media accounts are strong, and whenever you accept any friend request, unless and until you don't know that person or you are expecting a friend request from the person, do not accept that. And if you get some kind of any false information or false request, try to block that person and report it. How cybersecurity is in this current emerging domains and the future landscape. How cybersecurity is impacting the AI world. I think most of you would be hearing about the deepfake scenarios that is happening, right? Wherein someone with AI can create a similar ID of that person and start sending out information saying that this is from that person, which could be audio, video, as well as image of that person, and this has been happening very frequently these days. And this purely is a scenario of where they are using AI technology to do that, and the data is getting poisoned in the back end by those models. Either of the scenarios. Some of the popular case studies are the deepfake audio used to impersonate a CEO and authorize fraudulent transactions, and AI chatbots tricking users into revealing sensitive information. Best practices: verify the authenticity of the AI-generated content, and use AI tools from only trusted sources. Do not engage with any kind of, if you find an AI tool and says it is able to do all this, just don't try to utilize that unless until if there is no proper reputation for that content. A popular case study was a finance worker pays out $25 million after a video call with a deepfake CFO officer who could not figure out that it was not the CFO of that specific company. A source article from CNN. How cybersecurity in blockchain. Smart contract vulnerabilities are very prominent now, which is wallet hacks, and 51% of the attack kind of contribute to these kind of smart contract vulnerabilities. Smart contract is nothing but a payment kind of a negotiation that is agreed between two entities, and they are able to find out vulnerabilities in that, and they can leverage it to their adversaries leverage it to their own benefit. Examples: a DeFi platform losing $100 million due to a smart contract bug. a cryptocurrency wallet hack draining user funds. So they are very prominently attacks that is happening in the blockchain world. What could be the best practices? Always use a hardware wallet when you are storing your cryptocurrencies, and audit your smart contracts before doing any kind of deployments. A major blockchain bridge was hacked, resulting in 600 million in losses. It was an article that was from CoinDesk. How cybersecurity is impacting in the drones world, right? If a drone could get compromised, they can get into unauthorized access, GPS spoofing, and data interception. A drone hijacking mid-flight and used for espionage. So whatever the intent the drone was destined to do, but it was doing something which is not does to do. And while the drone has been compromised, it has been used by for a different purpose when the attackers intercepted that drone. Always use encrypted communication channels when the drone communication is happening, when you are using the drone. And make sure that the firmware of the drone is constantly updated so that there is no vulnerabilities present, or the vulnerabilities at the low level where it could not go to the level of a compromise. The drone cyber attack that breached a corporate network, CNBC TV, there was an article on that. How cybersecurity is impacting human security, right, as individuals. So we have covered a lot of that, but some more thoughts to that is your biometric data theft, surveillance, and social engineering. There are cases where you are seeing a lot of facial recognition data being stolen and misused. Hackers using social engineering to gain physical access to secure locations. What could be the best practices, right? Make sure that whatever the sensitive data that you get from individual, they are properly encrypted and stored at a very with the least privilege access to someone who can access that, right? Because the moment it is getting stolen, the use cases are very much big for the adversaries to use that. What are the general tips from safeguarding yourself? When you are going to give your digital mode of application, which is your laptop, your tablets, anything to your kids, right? Make sure that you use a reputed browser and applications for them to use. For teenagers, make sure you think twice before you're posting any content online. What would be the intent that someone can take out of that? Make sure you regularly update your passwords for your critical applications that you use and always have enabled 2FA. The laptops, the phones, the tablets, the digital mode of usage, whatever that is present, make sure you update those softwares on a regular basis. And whenever you get a URL, read through the URL and make sure that you verify that before you click that. And always you install a reliable antivirus instead of just you are getting a free cracked version somewhere, right? Instead, just make sure that you use a legit antivirus software and firewall on your device. And keep yourself as well as your community more safer, right? A word spreads even more faster. So make sure that whenever you find legit information about some things, educate your children, your parents, anyone that this is happening. Please be cautious about it, so that they can communicate that to some other people, and that the word would save someone else, right? I think that comes down to the final end note. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, sir. We have a question from our end in the chat. We had got a question.
Sure.
Yes, just a minute. How WhatsApp is securing voice over IP calls?
Okay. So WhatsApp has their custom encryption model, wherein they try to, whenever you use a voice call, they try to make sure that from yours. So I don't have a complete end-to-end view on what encryption model that they are using, but what they do is whatever the call that initiates from your end to their end, they are encrypting it so that whatever that you talk, they are made to make sure that they are not being leaked out by any adversaries who try to intercept that call, like an MITM attack or anything that is happening, right? So that's, I think it's not only with their voice, right? Even your text messages, if you open up WhatsApp, you can see that your there's a small message that comes, right? Your verification code has been changed. This specific message has been encrypted end to end. So all this you can see in that WhatsApp, right? So that's how it works.
Thank you, sir. I think that was the question that has been asked from the audience. Okay, coming to the end of the session, it's my privilege to extend the vote of thanks for today's enlightening session, which is going to be the sixth talk in the Generic Talk series organized by RMK Group of Institution. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Sairam Murali, sir, Senior Manager, Information Security at Alteryx, for taking the time to share his valuable insights on the topic cybersecurity for everyday life. Your session has shed light on practical ways to secure our digital presence, and I also thank the management, principals, deans, and the faculty members for their encouragement and constant involvement in making such events possible. And thank you, sir, for spending a lot of time and sparing time for us, being the great alumnus of RMK Group of Institution. Thank you so much.
Thank you indeed. I would like to render a heartfelt thanks to the RMK management, chairman, vice chairman, to giving me this opportunity again, and to Uday Shankar sir. Though I never had a chance to study under him, but connecting with him after a pretty long time was good. And coming back to college is always a good pleasure. And now seeing that everything goes online, and I'm pretty impressed on that, and to see, I'm really moved by this. Thank you so much for inviting me to this talk.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, let us end the session. Thank you.
Yep.